Hi again, everyone, from Cedar Rapids, Iowa. I'm Bob Ask. My story. My life in the contest of history. 94 years and counting. My history as I've lived it, got to study it, got to teach it, still am. Today, for vignette number 8, I've entitled my theme, My Love for Music, Songs, and Singers. Move over, Bing. My mother said when I was a little kid, I sang all the time. Remember my boyhood rendition of World War I's Over There? And remember when I'd go around singing Hail to the Victors? Well, when Marilyn came along, poor Marilyn agreed. I sang all the time, in the car, in the home. She endured it. Once in a while I had to say, well, you better rest your tonsils a little bit. My personal resume and credentials are very modest. It includes 2 choirs, 3 quartets, and the developing song leader at Maryland's Care Center. There was no one else to lead the singing. The pay was not good, but I was a solo, really, sort of for the first time. Here's a picture of the McKinley Golden Bears. And you can see who's in the blue sport shirt. That's me. And I was singing soprano. The McKinley Golden Bears. Tony Anthony, Don Wagner, and Ming Han. I do have one impressive acclaim. For fun, I made a list of songs a couple years ago, lyrics and all, that I can sing. I stopped counting at 160. Oh yes, 10 were World War I songs. It wasn't just Over There. That goes back to those little Bobby's time when he fell in love with history. I also have a box that deep and heavy where when I was a kid growing up in Ottumwa, every week for a dime, I could buy a song book with all the lyrics. And here are just 3 that I chose from my box today. Here's Song Hits, 1945. Guess which song is right up there toward the beginning? Pistol Packin' Mama. Remember that? Way back in 1945. Here's a 10-cent publication called Hit Parade. When I was a kid on Saturday night, our family would gather around the radio and hear your hit parade to get the top 10 songs played week after week after week. And here's one called Screen Songs. There's Bing. Move over, Bing. I'm in charge today. Well, I've opened this up just today, and look what I found. I found songs that whenever I had a chance, I wrote down the words to always have them. So I learned a lot of songs and somehow, amazingly, was able to remember them. Oh yeah, I found this in my collection too. This one I will not sing today. Mersey Dotes. Remember it? Kind of a crazy one, but I'll spare you, Mersey Dotes. Well, moving on. To illustrate and represent my love for music, I'll share a few of my favorites, going back in time to the even early 1900s, the turn of that century. There I acknowledge two giants, and I deem them as two of the greatest men who ever lived. You don't have to be a general or a politician or an athlete. You can't surpass John Philip Sousa, the March King, Stars and Stripes Forever, perhaps, in my thinking, the greatest song ever composed. And then there was the immigrant boy, Victor Herbert, who came over, king of operetta, the light operetta songs just prior to and into the World War I era. They, I think, prove more than politics, more than wars and economic difficulties, that music is fun, especially this kind. Just partial snippets of some of the songs I call my favorites. Well, going back to that classic tearjerker in 1910 was Victor Herbert's famous song. It went like this. Victor Herbert. Toyland, Toyland, mystic merry Toyland. When you dwell within it, you are ever happy there. Childhood, joyland, dear little girl and boyland. Once you cross its borders, you can never return again. Victor Herbert, one of my favorites. And then just 3 or 4 years later, he came out with Nelson Eddy and Jeanette MacDonald in a movie called Naughty Marietta. And it went like this. Love is so sweet in the springtime, when blossoms are fragrant in May. No years that are coming can bring times to make me forget this day. I'll love you in life's gray December, and so on. Sweetheart, 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 will you love me ever? Springtime, love time, May. I've cut it short, but you got the point. Beautiful song. Springtime, love time, May. Other songs, well, Jerome Kern was the composer of that song I sang about Marilyn in the Love Letter in a vignette a couple of times ago. So he had some others, and we'll come back to him shortly. But do you remember Cole Porter? One of my favorites. He wrote, "The night is young, the skies are clear, and if you want to go walking, dear, it's delicious, it's delightful, it's lovely." Remember that one, you old timers? Hoagy Carmichael wrote this one. Sometimes I wonder why I spend the lonely nights dreaming of a song. The melody haunts my reverie, and I am once again with you. when our love was new, and each kiss an inspiration. But that was long ago, and now my consolation is in the stardust of a song beside a garden wall. When stars are bright, you are in my arms. The nightingale sings his melody of paradise where roses grew. And though I live in vain, it's always in my heart it will remain a stardust melody, a melody of love's refrain. We'll never forget Hoagy Carmichael. Irving Berlin said, "Say it with music, beautiful music. Somehow they'd rather be kissed to the tune of Chopin or Liszt. Melody, mellow, played on a cello, helps Mr. Cupid along. So say it with a beautiful song." Some of my best songs come out of Fred Astaire, Ginger Rogers movies, Top Hat, Swing Time, those beloved shows in the 30s. Remember these lines: someday when I'm awfully low and the world is cold, I will feel a glow just thinking of you, just the way you look tonight. And then there was this one, and you remember this one. There were bells in the hills, but I never heard them ringing. No, I never heard them at all till there was you. And then there was this one, and we can never forget it. Heaven, I'm in heaven, and my heart beats so that I can hardly speak, and I seem to find the happiness I see when we're out together dancing cheek to cheek. Well, Bing was always one of my favorites. We'll give him a little time here. I'll never forget Bing Crosby, that wonderful voice, when he just comes out and says, "Won't you tell me when we will meet again? Sunday, Monday, or always? If you're satisfied, I'll be at your side. Sunday, Monday, or all right." And then there's a more recent favorite of mine, bringing you right up pretty close to present time. Remember Dino's "Everybody falls in love sometime. Everybody falls in love somehow. Something in your kiss just told me my sometime is now." And then for our grand finale, you have to have a grand finale in a show. And we'll put this up in front of Bing. Jerome Kern sang my number one favorite song, and a drink of water might help me. A pretty girl is like a melody that haunts you night and day, just like the strain of a haunting refrain. She starts upon a marathon and runs around your brain. You can't escape. She's in your memory by morning, night, and noon. She will leave you and then come back again. A pretty girl is just like a pretty tune. A pretty girl is just like a melody.